Hello and welcome to the third week of the Power of Change. I'm Reverend Amy Oberly.
And I'm Reverend Janelle Ann Leah Frickland, and welcome so much to our newest video. As you can see, we're not at the Hope Interfaith Center. Amy and I are both at our homes because we have currently closed the Hope Interfaith Center for the time being. We're just honoring the safety precautions because we honor the health and safety and well-being of each other and of all of you. Of course, you guys are always our first priority and we love you so much. And you'll see in the video too that Hope is also at home. So we welcome you to this video. For those of you that are needing spiritual guidance, this will help you so much, and we just invite you to listen with an open heart and take in the energy that is around you as you listen. Take in the positive love that is inside of you. It will reawaken that. And we invite you to share it with your friends as well, because it'll be a huge help for your friends and your family and anyone too that is just needing this guidance right now.
Yes. So go ahead and get comfortable. Maybe make a glass of tea or maybe a glass of wine if you're having happy hour. And we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy the show, you guys. We're sending you our love.
Hi, everybody, and I welcome you to my third teaching. I'm not at the Hope Interfaith Center today. I'm at my home, and I am a critical thinker. I don't work out of fear, but I am in isolation as we continue to profoundly go inward. And I just wanted to talk to you a little because first, I want to say thank you so very much for listening to the YouTubes that are being put out there, because I know that you have a gamut. We have a long list of people that you could be listening to. And the one thing that I want you to understand is that there's a lot of information. So from the scale of 1 being those indeed who do not know the facts, those indeed who indeed are in critical thinking called fear, is an energetic field that you do not want to be in at this time. And so as we climb forward, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, what I do is I try to gather information from the tens. And who are those tens? Some of them are of earth. Some of them are in the ethers called our angels, guides, and holy ones. So just for a moment, just let's pray, shall we? Just put your hands over your heart and say, internally with me, Mother, Father, God, and all the angels, saints, holy ones, guides, teachers, and healers, we invoke thee and we invite thee into this small corner of this very large and brilliant universe, and we ask, oh so most humbly, to be connected to the divine truth, to the one truth of all that is, all that was, and all that shall ever be. And so we're surrounded right now. We're surrounded by angels and our guides and our holy ones. Last week, I think we talked about the energy of the children, and this is one of the things that I heard on the news from a 10 who is a child psychologist and psychiatrist. When the history that is in an epic moment right now, when they go back and they talk about this period of time, they're not going to think about nor remember what they did. They're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to remember not what they did. They're going to remember how you, the adults in their life, made them feel. So if you feel secure, if you feel the energy of love, if you feel the energy of infinite possibilities that are here right now, the children are going to radiate in that energy. They're going to indeed have this energy around them of great, not only protection, because they don't need protection. Children don't need protection. You don't need protection because you are perfection. You are the perfect energetic field of love and light. You were born from oneness. You are still from oneness. And so it's just about maintaining that understanding and that truth, and having a commitment that you're going to maintain that truth. I've been studying a lot on frequency and vibration, and as many of you know me, I'm a frequency teacher. And so one of the things that I have studied and taken a look at is Dr. David Hawkins, not Dr. Stephen Hawkins, although he was a very great, great, great man. This is Dr. David Hawkins, and so I'm just going to tell you just a little bit about him because he's a 10. Dr. David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD, was an internationally renowned psychiatrist, physician, researcher, and a pioneer in the fields of consciousness. He did much research and spent the rest of his life here on Earth studying consciousness and helping people understand their divine essence. His books I would consider very much well worth checking out. One of the books that some of you might know is called Power versus Force. And so this is one of his statements. Love is misunderstood. It is not an emotion. Actually, it is a state of awareness, a way of being in the world, a way of seeing the world, a way of seeing oneself and all others. Love is misunderstood. It is not an emotion. It is actually a state of awareness. And I believe that we, the light workers, are called on deck right now to be that love. So again, every message that you read right now, and there are many, every videotaping that is happening around the world in basements or kitchens or in their homes are coming out through, and they carry a frequency. Every word carries a frequency. So we are going to start a new narrative. When people are talking about the old narrative, when talking about the cabal, when talking about the dark energy, when talking about the illusion, you are still in the old narrative. Light workers are called forth in their vibration to not absorb the story, but become the new author of the new story here upon the planet. And I hope you all join me in this. One of the bottom cliff notes of all of his books is that every thought, every action, every decision or feeling creates an eddy, E-D-D-Y. I immediately went to my husband and asked, what's an eddy? This man who I'm studying, Dr. David R. Hawkins, who's brilliant, a 10 on the scale from 1 to 10, is that he uses the word eddy. And my husband said, this is the meaning of eddy. He said it was a current, an energetic current, an interlocking, ever-moving energy. And so I said to Paul, my husband, who's a PhD, he's a 10, oh, so we're on the same page, aren't we, Paul? And then I asked him, where did that word eddy come from? And he said it came from the word, that word came from the world of electrons and electricity and from the electronic world. Because eddy is a current of energy that goes out into the universe. And so every thought, every feeling, every emotion that you are hearing right now, I hope you can feel it, is carrying an eddy, a current of ever-moving frequency that moves and broadcasts into the world, and we are going to create the new reality. We are going to break through the illusion and not even talk about the illusion. You and I, we're so far along, we don't need to talk about the illusion. We know it already. We know the old world. Every time you or she, the spirits are talking to me, talk about the old narrative, we add energy, an eddy, to the old narrative, and we're making the narrative bigger. I'm just going to give you a for instance. So many people out there are talking about a conspiracy. They think it's a theory. They think it's a fact. So every time they talk about a conspiracy, about the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or this or that or this or that or this or that, an eddy is coming out of them. And they are lowering their frequency and matching the old narrative. If you and I corresponded in one of our sessions, and I'm talking about the old reality, then I'm sending out an eddy that is matching the old narrative, adding on to the old narrative. But if indeed we are light workers and we carry the vibration of love, and love is not an emotion, remember what he said, it's actually a state of consciousness. It's a state of enlightenment. It is really a state of energy. It's an eddy that goes out into the world to create the new frequency, and the new frequency creates the new reality. Heaven on earth. And that's what's happening right now. So I'm asking all of you to pay very, very close attention to how you feel energetically when you are listening to someone speak, when you're reading material, because it is an eddy that's going out into the universe. Dr. David Hawkins, who was indeed the first person who had a scale of consciousness, and hopefully I can show you that. This is what the scale looked like. He said that there are people here upon the planet that uses currency or eddies that are in the lowest frequency. They create the old narrative. So hopefully you can see this. These are levels. Can you see that? These are levels below the 200 mark line. And the first one that you might see on the list is pride. Pride in megahertz in frequency. If I'm prideful, arrogant, I think I know it all, that's about 175 megahertz. Old narrative. Anger, Dr. David Hawkins, is about 150 megahertz. Lowering your frequency, old narrative. Fear is about 100 megahertz. Grief, apathy, guilt, shame, resentment, anger, all of that stuff, or just even talking about the old narrative, which still exists, but you're adding on to that. So then, of course, he has above 200. I'm going to try it again. See that? If you can't see it, I would suggest you look it up on the computer. So levels above 200. The first thing that he says to do, if you're feeling fear, doubt, anger, whatever it is during this time, as soon as you say the words, neutrality, neutrality, I'm going to be neutral, neutrality. He says you raise your frequency up above the 200 line, and you are immediately at 250. You are creating the new reality, the new narrative, when you say neutral. Just stay neutral. Above neutrality, or above neutral, comes calmness, peace, joy, happiness, gratitude, appreciation. Enlightenment is around 700 megahertz, 800 megahertz, 900 megahertz. Enlightenment is a state of love. Even above enlightenment is indeed what he calls divine grace. In divine grace incarnate. We are divine grace incarnate. And when you're holding that divine grace incarnate and you're bringing that forth in the enlightenment stage of love, because love is not an emotion, it's a state of awareness, and it's a state of energy, an eddy, that goes out into the world. So Here at the Hope Interfaith Center, many people, believe it or not, think that we are way too positive. And some people do say that we do not take it seriously. I'm at home, washing my hands, taking care of my grandchildren, but loving me and loving all of you and loving life at this time. It is an epic moment. It gives us once again an opportunity to create a new narrative. And sometimes we are told that we have to sacrifice in order to get to this ring of fire to come out to create the new narrative. And so we must ask ourselves, what am I willing to sacrifice? What do we need to, because they're small businesses, some of them will be sacrificed. Nonprofits, some of them will be sacrificed. Because it is the sacrificial lamb that gets us to this resurrection of a new narrative, a new story. So please come with me. Please join us at the Hope Interfaith Center with all of these teachings that come out. We have so much to offer the world in our frequency and light work. I'm trying very hard to stay in a very high frequency. And so sometimes we can get caught up in the mass consciousness of fear. Neutralize, Hope. Neutralize. 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 Because you are here to create the new narrative. So I thank you all for listening to this. Again, you have so many to listen to and so much information that's coming through. But again, once I would always tell you, just check in with your frequency, which is an eddy that's creating constantly. And what I find really interesting is when many people talk about source field energy, that an eddy never dies. It goes out into the energetic field and is creating as we speak here today. So with love and light from the Hope Interfaith Center, from my two fantastic assistants, Janelle and Amy, they're here to help you as well. So if you need any more sessions or anything like that, I'm doing it through via Zoom, like we are doing this, and or television. Maybe television's coming up, who knows? So take care. I love you all. God bless you. Namaste.
We want to hug each other, but we can't
But we
because
can't.
we're so far apart. So we're sending each other big air hug.